Hi, Pastor George here for My Guns and My Religion. This is going to be in response to our president, Barack Hussein Abdullah Muhammad Obama, and his um, executive orders that he announced today, January 5th, 2015. I want to talk about two of them that are kind of really egregiously stupid. The first one being that he announces that he is going to make it more difficult for entities, I mean, corporations, trusts, things like that, to obtain the quote, most dangerous firearms out there. Well, he's right in a sense. Now, people, you might be interested in knowing that you can, in fact, legally own a machine gun in this country. It's called an NFA item, National Firearms Act item. Um, and there's some pretty serious restrictions on it, not the least of which is you have to get a tax stamp and have it all registered. It has to be legal in the state in which you reside. And uh, you can't buy one that's been manufactured after the mid 80s. I forget what it's 84, 85. And so you have to apply for all this stuff, right? You have to apply for all this stuff. And one of the things that people are able to do, because it is literally an arduous task, is they would create what's called a gun trust, where a member or members can act as an entity, right? Which sort of skirts the ability or the need for sort of pre-approved background-wise, and so you can pay this tax stamp, and instead of it taking 6 months to a year to get this tax stamp, because it's which is insane, you get it streamlined down to a month's time, something like that. And one of the other reasons that you might want to join a gun trust or belong to a gun trust or be in a gun trust is that these guns are ridiculously expensive. They are collector's items. This is not something that you see very commonly. If you wanted to buy, let's say, a Vietnam vintage M16 rifle, which would be a fully automatic machine gun, you're talking about a gun that's going to cost, I don't know, $12,000-$15,000. I mean, they're not cheap because they're not making any more. You can't buy a new one. You can't buy one that was made last year. And other items, and they go up from there. I mean, it's not unusual to see machine guns going in the $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 mark. Right? It's for serious collectors. You see them once in a while if you go to a machine gun shoot. People bring them out, and so people know how to operate them, know how to repair them, because when they break, there ain't no parts for it. You got to know how to make the parts. So, interestingly enough, you never see them used in crimes. Why? Because they're impossible to get your hands on. The guy going out to do a drive-by shooting, the person that's bent on doing a mass shooting somewhere, isn't going to go out and buy a $12,000-$15,000 weapon and waits. It's just not going to happen. That's why they're not used in crimes. It's just not heard of. You just won't see it. But it looked good on TV because we were going to get rid of the most dangerous and this sort of loophole, right? Really? Seriously? Now the other one that just galls me is this closing of the so-called gun show loophole, okay, where and the president turns around and he makes it sound like people are walking into gun shows and they're buying AR-15s from independent sellers, and there's all this buying and trading going on at gun shows, and that's where the problems are located. Well, the reality is less than 1% of all guns used in crimes actually come from gun shows at all on any level. The majority of people who sell at gun shows are federal firearms licensees, so they already have a license, the commercial sellers. And you've got a couple of other people that go to gun shows that you will see buying and selling a small number of firearms, okay? And who are these? These are collectors. These are hobbyists. You know what they're selling? Are they selling AR-15s? No, they are not. They're selling collectible rifles like this one. This is a Springfield A303, right? Bolt action rifle. I think that's okay. This is an M22A. Sorry, this is an M22A bolt action rifle. It was a training rifle used during World War I. I didn't look to see which one I took out of the box. It's very hard to come by one of these, and people, you'll see them at gun shows. Stay put, you, for sale, because they're collectible. Now, I want to say that it used to be that you could sell up to 5 rifles, or and I'm saying, using the word rifles here in Pennsylvania specifically, and not be considered a firearms dealer. Here in Pennsylvania, if you sell a handgun of any description, that has to go through an FFL, no matter what. So old Fred is there buying and selling a couple of guns a month, right? That kind of gun, not ARs, not modern weapons at all. And the reason why those are the people you see is because there's profit to be made on one gun here. You might find somebody that, has an old A303 or an M1 Garand or something like that, doesn't quite know what it's worth, and sell it to you for $500. You turn around and sell it for $1,000, $1,200. Here's the part that galls me. Says now we're going to reduce the number that you can sell, right? No actual number of saying, well, this is the breach number here that will push you over the line. No, of course not. We want to leave it nebulous. So you kind of, just like Obamacare, you have to guess what it means, right? Are those the weapons that are used in crimes? Well, let me tell you something. That M22, that weighs about 13 pounds. All right, you can't conceal it, and nobody's using it in a drive-by. The fact of the matter is that man got on, did a bunch of politicking, and just made it more difficult for law-abiding citizens to do the things that they want to do. It's not going to reduce gun crime at all. You want my support, Mr. President? I'll tell you what you do. You crack down on straw purchases. That's where somebody goes into a gun store who is not a prohibited person, buys a firearm, and turns it over to somebody who is. They buy in place of. Enforce that law. It's already against the law. Enforce it, and enforce it strictly. Make the laws for stealing firearms more potent. Make it a very serious crime to be in possession of a stolen firearm. You start locking people up for 10, 25 years for stealing a gun, you'll cut down on the problem. You put somebody in jail for 10, 25 years for doing a straw purchase on both sides, you'll cut down on the problem. As a matter of fact, if you start enforcing the laws that are actually on the books, you will do something. But you're looking for a legacy. You're looking to make yourself look good in the wake of what is an otherwise abysmally failed presidency. So instead of making yourself a new legacy, you've just made yourself look more foolish and made it easier for us to elect a conservative that will undo your nonsense in 2016. For the rest of you, hey, God bless, keep your powder dry, Mullen Labe, and we'll see you next time.